Hey, 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 happy Tuesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief, otherwise the Grand Poobah. So, welcome aboard. Tonight is Tuesday, May 14th, 2019. This is episode 302 of The Daily Dope. Tonight, pretty big show. So tonight I am going to be reviewing Mystic Vale. I'm going to do a bit of a how to play, a quick how to play, and then provide my review for Mystic Vale from AEG. Then we're also going to take a first look and unbox the Harmony expansion for Mystic Vale. So we're going to take a look at that as well. I do have some news tonight. Also, some tabletop gaming news that we'll be getting into as well, as I've got things all over the place here. I didn't get everything set up the way I wanted it. There we go. We should be good now. Things have been kind of crazy today. Very, very crazy today. I'll explain why when I get to the Mystic Vale review. But also do want to point out there is still time to get in the running to win my copy of Ghosts of Salt Marsh Limited Edition. That's right, this is the limited edition of the latest adventure supplement for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons from Wizards of the Coast. I am going to be giving my copy away. So I have the standard copy. I don't need 2 copies. So I am giving away the limited edition. The contest is running through this week. So basically, I need to hit 2,000 subscribers. So you have to be a subscriber. And you have to make a comment, at least one comment, on any video from the, the 9th? I believe it was the 9th when I took a first look at this. So anything from the 9th through the 20th of this month, any video, just make a comment. You will be in the running. I will ship this out anywhere in the world within reason. So, probably not going to Afghanistan with this. But, just want to point it out, if you're like in Canada or Germany or England, I know those are the countries that tend to watch the show outside the U.S. The vast majority of people watching the Daily Dope are from the U.S. But I do get some folks in Canada and the UK, as well as Germany and France and Japan. I have some viewers in Japan as well, so that's pretty cool. So if this is the first time you've tuned in to watch the show, let me point out this is very, very casual. I just kind of kick back, talk about tabletop gaming, usually share a review, maybe an unboxing and first look, or for an example with a role-playing game, source book, we'll do a page through. So very, very casual. I also like to provide some tabletop gaming news as well. Since this is a live stream, if you are watching on YouTube, be sure to chime in. If you want to say hello, by all means, say howdy. If you have a question, fire away. Maybe there's something about Mystic Vale. Maybe you want to take a closer look at something, or have me go into a little more detail when I'm doing my how to play and review. By all means, feel free, bang out a comment in chat. I will respond. Do want to point out, chat is not on screen. It's one of the ways that I kind of keep some of the stranger commenters at bay. So, usually on YouTube we're fine. One of the reasons why I don't stream on Twitch is because I got some really, really bizarre commenters, and I was like, no, I don't need this. I don't have anybody I can moderate this chat. So when the show first started off, first few episodes were actually on YouTube and Twitch, and I was like, no, buy Twitch. So anyway, also want to point out, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you check out some of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel and you like them, by all means, please subscribe. Don't forget to ring that little bell, because when you do, that'll not only notify you when there's a new video, it'll also point out when the stream goes live within about 5 minutes or so. And of course, if you like the Daily Dope, if you like the GamingGang.com, please tell a friend. In fact, tell 2 friends. Help spread the word. All right, so Dan from No Enemies here has popped in to chat. Good to see you, Dan. Welcome aboard. It's your 8 o'clock show. So anyway. Needed to grab a quick sip of Diet Pepsi. So, all right. As I mentioned, I've got some news tonight. Not a ton, but a bit of news. And I know there are folks out there who are not fans of the tabletop gaming news of the day. If you are one of those people, look in the show notes below. You can skip right past. Don't have to check out the tabletop gaming news. But there are a lot of people who really do like the tabletop gaming news. So let's get right on into it, because Stronghold Games has begun pre-orders for a new mid-weight Euro game. It's on the horizon, coming in June. And I've got the dope on Valparaiso. And no, I'm not talking about Valparaiso, Indiana. In 1811, free trade is declared for the harbor city of Valparaiso in Chile. A short time later, Chile proclaims its independence. As an influential citizen of Valparaiso, you want to push the development of your city, so you send merchants into the hinterlands to get a hold of important export goods and send your ships overseas to gain new achievements there. To do well in Valparaiso, you must plan well ahead, keep an eye on your opponents, and react to their actions at short notice. Almost any action influences the other players by changing costs or trading possibilities. Each building of a house must be given a lot of thought. Every trade must be well timed. Whoever wants to change the order of their initial planning during the course of the game must pay a penalty. But if your plans aren't good enough, time will slip away. In the short run as well as in the long run, you all plan simultaneously, and the end of the game may come sooner than you've hoped. Also, for advanced players who like planning well pressed for time, the game does include a variant using a sand timer. Valparaiso is for 2 to 5 players, ages 12 and up, plays in about 45 to 90 minutes, and does carry an MSRP of $59.95. This is supposed to arrive on June 26th. So I'm actually considering reaching out to Stephen Bonacore over at Stronghold to check this out, because this sounds kind of interesting. I don't necessarily get into a lot of Euro games, mainly because, as I pointed out before, I am not necessarily a fan of playing games in a vacuum, but I like the fact that you can mess with the other players in this. It sounds like that you can actually have a pretty good effect on the other players. All right, so we got a few more folks popping in chat. We've got Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. Kabuki Kid is also popping in. So, good to see everybody hanging out in chat. So, let's continue moving. Have you heard 25% board game hike if it's made in China? Dan, I'm the guy who was actually spreading that information on Twitter today. I'm going to get to that in just a moment with the new during the news. So that is my last item that's going to be newsworthy. So yes, I know all about it, and pointed that out earlier today on Twitter. And Mark H. Walker, for an example, was kind of going back and forth with me. So we will discuss that a little bit in just a few moments. So Luma Imports is releasing a new edition of a classic river racing game this summer. And I've got a wee bit of dope on Mississippi Queen. In Mississippi Queen, players race their paddle wheelers down the Mississippi, picking up passengers along the way. But onboard coal supplies are limited, so each ship's acceleration and maneuvers must be carefully planned. The twists and turns of the river are unknown at the start of the game and are revealed only as ships progress downstream, so captains need to be alert at the wheel and ready to change course. This version of Mississippi Queen includes the original base game that won the 1997 Spiel des Jahres, as well as the Black Rose expansion that increased the player count to 6 and included the Black Rose, a black paddle wheeler controlled by whichever player is currently in last place. This boat does not require any coal and can be used to hamper opponents in the lead. The game has basic rules that more or less reflect gameplay in the original game, along with advanced rules that introduce elements such as floating logs and sandbars that were included in the Black Rose expansion. Mississippi Queen is for 2 to 6 players, ages 10 and up, plays in around 45 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $49.99 when it arrives in Q3. Kabuki Kid is jumping on my gag. Mississippi Queen. Who did that song? I couldn't remember who did that song. So this could be interesting. I kind of get a kick out of racing games. Although I have to say it's kind of odd where it's like, okay, so you're racing down the Mississippi, and it's like, oh, it changes all the time, and it's sort of like, really, it's the Mississippi River. So it's like, if you were somebody who was a captain of a paddle wheeler, well, I think you'd have a pretty good clue about the Mississippi. So, all right. So, do want to point out Paizo Inc. has revealed their solicitations for August. They're calling them their July solicits, but they're coming out August 1st. So, these will be the final releases before Pathfinder 2.0 launches at Gen Con. I've got the dope. It's not a ton of stuff coming out from Paizo. But first off, we've got the Starfinder Adventure Path Assault on the Cubicle. Oh, I'm sorry, Crucible. I glanced down to look at something. I'm like, yeah, okay. Oh, no, that's not what it was. It's Assault on the Crucible. Aye. Well, the heroes finished the liberation of an alien bubble city in the sun. I love bubble cities in the sun. We had joy, we had fun, we had bubble cities in the sun. Yeah, what is this, like 70s music night? Ifrit launch an assault on the burning archipelago from within the star. The heroes have advantages of position, knowledge, and surprise, giving them a unique opportunity. With the aid of their new allies, the heroes can take the fight to the enemy base. Thwarting the Ifrit plot requires closing gates to the plane of fire and returning the far portal to the surface of the sun. However, the forces overseeing the base don't stand idle during this infiltration. In the end, the Ifriti commander risks everything to crush the heroes, spoilers please, and see his plan to dominate the burning archipelago through. Assault on the Crucible is a Starfinder role-playing game adventure for 4 11th level characters. This adventure concludes the Dawn of Flame Adventure Path, a 6-part monthly campaign in which the players uncover a plot that threatens the packed world's sun. It also includes details on the Plane of Fire in the science fantasy Starfinder multiverse, an article on continuing the Adventure Path story with new threats, and a selection of new monsters from the sun, the Plane of Fire, and elsewhere in the galaxy. Assault on the Crucible will carry an MSRP of $22.99. Then we've got the Pathfinder Adventure Path Midwives to Death. Isn't that a show on BBC? The Tyrant's Grasp Adventure Path reaches its world-shaping conclusion. The heroes learn that the keys to stopping Tar Bafon's deadly radiant fire are the shards of the shattered shield still lodged in their souls. The only things dangling their lives above the grasp of the boneyard. The heroes return to Last Wall to confront the Whispering Tyrant, but they discover that he has led his army to the fields outside the city of Absalom. There, the Whispering Tyrant plans to blast his way through the city and crack the Starstone Cathedral open, transforming himself into a true god. The PCs must battle the Lich's most powerful allies, turn the power of the Radiant Fire back on the Whispering Tyrant, and end the threat he now poses to the world. Midwives to Death is a Pathfinder role-playing game adventure for 16th level characters. Holy cow. The adventure concludes the Tyrant's grasp of adventure path and brings dramatic changes to Golarion. This volume also includes an extensive article showcasing the final material written by Paizo's developers for the first edition of the Pathfinder role-playing game. Midwives to Death will carry an MSRP of $24.99. Then there's the Starfinder Flip Mat Ice World. Whether the heroes are pursuing ice pirates across the frozen tundra, what a terrible movie that was, or scouting out a good location for their hidden rebel base, no game master wants to spend time drawing every snowdrift and crevasse. Fortunately, with Paizo's latest Starfinder Flip Mat, you don't have to. This line of gaming maps provides ready-to-use science fantasy set pieces for the busy game master. This double-sided map features a windswept snowfield on one side and a network of frigid ice caverns on the other. Don't waste time sketching when you could be playing. With Starfinder Flip Mat Ice World, you'll be ready the next time your players have a snow day. The Ice World Flip Mat will carry an MSRP of $14.99. As I mentioned before, all three of these releases will arrive on August 1st. So yeah, oh man, ice pirates, space herpes. Yes, pretty bad. Hey, the Madman's in. Hey, don't worry about being late, Madman. The Madman points out that he was talking to his 102-year-old grandmother. Sweet, very cool. So hey, don't worry about that. Your grandma's way more important than this show. But there have been some people who were curious if Paizo was planning on releasing any future supplements, any adventure paths, anything like that that was going to be for first edition Pathfinder. And I was like, no, absolutely not. And they're like, oh, yeah, we'll see it. We'll see that happen. I was like, tain't gonna happen. And according to the sell sheet info from that Pathfinder adventure path, they don't have plans to do that. Although I think it's kind of weird. They seem to have some plans to start releasing stuff for Pathfinder 2nd Edition and 5th Edition D&D. So that is kind of interesting. So we will find out. All right, and then Evil Hat Publications has released a new supplement for the Monster of the Week RPG. It's in PDF. I've got the dope. Open the tome if you dare. In the Monster of the Week role-playing game, hunters must solve all manner of mysteries before they can save the day. The Tome of Mysteries expands their options and magnifies their peril, with a wide variety of GMing advice, essays, rules, and mysteries from the Monster of the Week Roadhouse Regulars online community. Tome of Mysteries requires Monster of the Week to play. In this supplement, you'll find 8 new alternative weird moves that go beyond use magic. 4 new hunter playbooks: the Gumshoe, the Hex, the Searcher, and the Pararomantic. Little Buffy and Angel there. Support for weird phenomena like mysteries, like those found in Fringe or The X-Files. Tips and techniques used by experienced keepers. 29 fully detailed mysteries ready to drop into your game. Grab your friends and your gear, because it's time to unlock the Tome of Mysteries. You can snag the 278-page Tome of Mysteries in PDF from DriveThruRPG right now for $12. That's actually a pretty good deal. $12 for a 278-page PDF. Because lately we're seeing almost like 10 cents a page from some folks. Some of these PDF prices are getting a little out of hand. But I do want to point out that, of course, the gaminggang.com as well as the Daily Dope are affiliates of the One Bookshelf site. So if you are going to go to, say for an example, DriveThruRPG, please visit thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you do happen to make a purchase, you get a little portion of that sale. Little bitty portion. Sometimes a nickel, sometimes it's a dime, sometimes it's a whole dollar, which is extremely rare. But all that really adds up and honestly pays for the hosting for the website just about every month. And I say it time and time again, I don't have cheapo hosting. You can't pull in 100,000 unique visitors or close to 400,000 visitors overall in a month without having, decent hosting. So there you have it. Last thing, yes. So Dan over at No Enemies Here had brought this up. There is discussion that these new tariffs with China, which people just don't understand tariffs. I don't think the POTUS understands tariffs either. China's not paying for these tariffs. It's the companies here, the publishers, manufacturers, things like that. They're the ones who pay the tariffs. It's like a penalty for importing things into your country. The country that it's coming from does not pay those tariffs. And the tariffs are basically there to dissuade people from doing business with whoever. That's what that's all about. So anyway, there is talk that the new tariffs that are going into effect are going to actually affect board games, card games, role-playing game supplements that are published in China. Anything that's made in China, and there are a lot of games and a lot of game books that are produced in China, they are going to be subject to a 25% tariff. That's the number I've been told. I've been hearing stuff through the grapevine. Now, my good friend Mark H. Walker from Tiny Battle Publishing, as well as Flying Pig Games, was kind of going back and forth with me a little bit on Twitter, because if these tariffs take hold, right, nothing's going on yet, right? So I mean, if this is like a 2-week thing, and then that's it, and everybody kisses and makes up, it's really no harm, no foul. But it is possible that these tariffs could go on for a while. So first off, there are a lot of online retailers who are effectively drop shippers. I'm not sure if people out there are familiar with that term. It's basically you have like your own little online storefront, but the order fulfillment is not done through you. It's done through somebody else. So that's what they call drop ship. So you process the order, hand it over to another company. They're the ones who ship it out. They're drop shipping it. So that is one of the reasons why you do see there are some online retailers who are able to really provide some smoking deals on games. Sometimes 30 to 50% off the MSRP. And we're talking brand new stuff. Usually it's about 20 to 30%, but still, that's a lot. It's about gaining leverage to force China to respect intellectual properties. No, that ain't it. Sorry. That might be the reason why that's kind of rolling out. That's not it. That is not why we're rolling out these tariffs. It's yes, and I understand. I'm not going to get political. Okay, I'm not going to get political with this. I'm just pointing out that if these tariffs do go on for a while, it is going to seriously affect not only the gaming companies out there, both large and small, but also a lot of retailers as well. And I can see a lot of online retailers who do that drop shipping. They'll be gone. They'll be gone really fast because their profits are razor thin already. I mean, there's companies out there that for every copy of a game that they sell, since they're not storing it, they're not shipping it, they're not doing anything, they're just processing an order, right? That's what a drop shipper does. Anyway, they might make 15 cents on every game. So if suddenly you're looking at an additional 25% added on top of the price that they're already paying, forget it. It'll be it. Kickstarter prices, says the madman. So what'll eventually happen if, for some reason, these go on for a long time? And I honestly don't think they will. I really don't think so. But if they do go on for a long time, then companies are really going to have to take a very, very hard look on how they have their games produced. I know a lot of people don't care for the fact that many of the games that we do play are manufactured in China. Reason behind that is of course, it's the cost benefit for the publishers, but it is also the fact that there are not a lot of manufacturers left here in the US that can do that kind of work. So I don't know. This could turn out to be a big problem. And I have talked about this before. If you are a longtime viewer, I have mentioned before that there are a lot of companies, a lot of game companies out there that are not in the kind of financial position that you would think they are. There are some companies that are kind of hanging on by a thread, or hanging on by, the skin of their teeth. I'm not at liberty to discuss who they are, but I was very surprised to hear from some folks that I'm friends with in the industry. So it's just, for one, there's a glut of games. So many of my games are print on demand, printed locally. If they're so Unscripted and Unchained would be probably going through some of the drive-through sites, maybe like Wargame Vault, stuff like that. So we'll have to see what happens. And like I said, if these tariffs hang around for a while, it's going to affect pretty much every corner of the industry. Asmodee is not going to be sitting there going, it's no big deal. We can do this. Nope. It ain't happening, Dewey. Anyway, so that was it for today's news. Do want to point out what's on the show for the rest of the week, moving into next week. So tomorrow is Wednesday. It means it's Wargame Wednesday. I am going to unbox and take a first look at Combat Commander Europe. This is a card-driven game. And when I say it's card-driven, I really do mean it's card-driven because there's no dice. So we're going to take a look. I'm going to unbox and we're going to take a first look at the fourth printing of this. I have reviewed Combat Commander. So really, really good game. So we are going to take a peek at that. Then Thursday. Now, if you missed the opening of the show, I mentioned once again. Yeah, there you go. Dan's like, great game. Excellent designer, too. Chad Jensen, excellent designer. And his wife, gosh, now I can't remember her name. His wife does a lot of great work with him because she's actually his developer. So anyway, I was talking about I'm going to be doing my giveaway for Ghosts of Saltmarsh on the 21st. I will do that live on the show. I'm going to be reviewing it on Thursday's show. So there you go. So you'll know if it's any good. So there you go. Thank you, Dan. It is Kai. It is Kai Jensen. No, it's Jensen. Am I cracking up here? I'm trying to do three things at one time. Then on Friday, I'll be reviewing Things from the Flood from Free League Publishing and Modifius Entertainment. I will be off on Monday because Sunday night is a big party for my nephew Cameron. He's part of the gang. So I don't know. I don't know how I'll be doing on Monday. I might be Dragon Tail. So Nefarious Coel's popping in. Good to see you, Nefarious. So no show on Monday, but Tuesday I will be reviewing Traveler Ascension, Imperial Warrant from Daring Play Games. Finally got it to the table enough times for me to do a review. So that is what's coming up the rest of this week and into next. So before I jump into my how to play and review of Mystic Vale, as well as unboxing and taking a first look at the Harmony expansion, do want to point out that if you are a fan of the Gaming Gang, if you like the Daily Dope, by all means, you already know this is a not-for-profit endeavor. So if you like the show, if you like the website, please consider making a small donation to Lil Bub's Big Fund and the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Yes, Lil Bub's Big Fund does provide grant monies to organizations around the United States that cares for special needs animals who are awaiting adoption. They're looking to find their forever homes. So 100% of all funds that are raised for Lil Bub's Big Fund are actually awarded as grants. So I always point that out a little bit And if you do happen to make a small donation, shoot me an email. My email's right down in the corner there. Email Jeff McAleer at thegaminggang.com. Let me know you made a small donation. I will give you a shout out on the following show if you would like. And I'm not asking you to prove that you made the donation or anything like that either. So, one last thing I do want to point out. I'm kind of bouncing around. So, we've got convention season starting. And of course, I have my credentials for Origins, San Diego Comic-Con, Gen Con, obviously. There's a few smaller ones. I don't know how to pull it off, really. I don't, every time I talk about doing a Kickstarter, I just feel kind of stupid. Because it's sort of like, I'm old school, right? I am not one of these guys who, like, hand out for stuff. I don't feel like, oh, wow, you have to support me to do this. But I really would like to go and cover these shows because that really does help keep the review copies coming, so we have something to show and to dig into on the various episodes, as opposed to let's just sit around here and talk to each other about games. So what I'm thinking of doing is I'm probably going to cull out some games from my collection. So I'm going to actually offer them up. I don't know if I want to do auction or just, first come, first serve on some of these. But I'm not going to do it through eBay or anything like that. I'm just going to probably do it on the Gaming Gang site. I'll probably create a link that you can go to. And I'll just have my email. And if somebody's interested in whatever games I'm going to put up there, and there will be good stuff. It's not just crap that I was like, oh, I'm not reviewing this. By all means, it'd probably be about 50% MSRP, and then of course you got to pay for shipping. So I don't know, maybe people would be interested in that. I have no clue. Feel free, those in chat, thumb up, thumb down. I'm trying to come up with some ideas about how to finance some of the convention going and news gathering without actually being like, hey, give me money, you get the video. Yeah, I feel weird about that, And I know there are companies that have been like, oh yeah, we'll do stuff for your Kickstarter and that, but I still feel kind of weird about that too. So Origins is Robertstown. So Origins, that's Columbus, Ohio. Here's the other thing. I want to go to Origins, but I don't have anybody else going with me. My buddy Elliot Miller over at voiceofe.com, he's not going to Origins. He's not going to Comic-Con either. He is going to go to Gen Con. So that is the only one he's going to go to is Gen Con. I'm in the Chicago area. I'm in the Chicago suburbs. So I don't know if I want to drive all the way to Columbus by myself, be hanging around the convention halls by myself. I mean, I don't mind doing it for a day or two because I do that like all the time. I don't know if I want to do the whole show like that. And I've got friends going, but it's sort of, they've got their things going. I've got my thing, right? So I don't know. I have no idea. I'm bouncing that around. So, yeah. So there we have it. Just looking at some ideas. So, yes, Gen Con rocks. Gen Con's my favorite convention. San Diego Comic-Con is amazing. It is awesome. We get to see some really wild stuff. We get to go to some fantastic parties as members of the press. But still, Gen Con is my favorite. Dan, how many times are you going to ask me if I'm going to WBC? Huh? How many? No, I am not going to WBC. If I can't figure out how I'm going to go to Origins, how would I be sitting there figuring about going to WBC? And I think, if I remember correctly, I think the World Board Game Championships? I think it takes place the same time as San Diego Comic-Con. So Unscripted Unchained says, I went to Gen Con 18. First Gen Con I went to would have been about 85, 86, back when it was in Milwaukee. So, so yeah. So am I going to GaryCon next year? I had thought of going to GaryCon this past year, but I don't know. I mean, it's not far. I mean, it's just up in Lake Geneva. I had considered reaching out to find out. So Unscripted Unchained says that was 18. All right, so I was there too. Back when I was like, if you saw like a woman or anyone of color, you would had to assume that they were going to the Polka Museum. That was in the Milwaukee Convention Center, because God knows you were like, they're not here for Gen Con. What? It's all just white boys here. So anyway, yeah, I had really thought of going to GaryCon, but once again, it's another situation where it's sort of like GaryCon. I wouldn't know anybody. I would maybe know a few people from some of the publishers just through email contact. But yeah, that was another one where it's kind of like, so I'm hanging out by myself, and I don't mind being by myself because I'm the kind of guy, I talk to anybody and everybody. So, but yeah, it just kind of gets to the point where it's sort of like, you know, being by yourself. Usually when I'm by myself at a convention, I'm super tempted to just, because I like to enjoy some adult beverages. I will find myself being like, yeah, okay, so I'm done shooting video today. So I think I'll go hang out at the bar. All right, Dan's got to head out just as I jump into the review. So good to see you, Dan. See you. Catch you next time. All right, so folks are probably tuning in to check out my review of Mystic Vale from AEG. It's designed by John D. Clare. Came out in 2016. Artwork and graphic design are provided by Ralph Berzik. I'm going to be guessing on these names. Storm Cook, Andrew Gaia, Catherine Guevara, Heather Kreider, Carrie Ostegard Leonard, Matt Paquette, Kiki Moshe Rizki, and Martin Diego Sadaba. Hopefully I'm close. The game is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 45 minutes, does carry an MSRP of $44.99. I gotta point out, I have seen this online for as low as about $32, $33. So, anyway, let's switch on over to the other camera. I have this kind of set up in a weird way. So, you can play it 2 to 4 players. We're going to kind of tour around a little bit. I'm going to talk about some aspects of it. So, if you recall, I mentioned earlier in the show that this has been kind of a weirdo day. So, I have had Mystic Vale since last December. I had not had really an opportunity to play, simply because I was playing with Elliot Miller recently, so I got enough plays in so that I could actually do the review. But these Vale cards here, which are these cards right here, when I was at Elliot's last... Oh, hey, Unscripted and Unchained. Thanks for coming in. Catch you next time as well. I was going to say that when I played this last with Elliot, I was kind of in a hurry packing up stuff because we had played a few different things. And I left the Vale cards for the core game over at Elliot's house. So these are not actually the Vale cards that are from Mystic Vale. They are actually from the Twilight Garden expansion. So, but hey, at least now I can start busting out the expansions and messing around with this, because prior I didn't have this game. So, this has been out, like I said, it's been out since 2016. I'm sure loads and loads of people already know everything about it. So I am not going to go into like a super crunchy how to play for Mystic Vale. And then once I finish up doing the review, we're going to take a first look at the Harmony expansion, which I believe is not out yet. I think it may have come out today. I know it's supposed to be out this month. So the premise of, so yes, and Nefarious starts laughing. At least he had some compatible backup Vale cards. Yes, because I would have felt like because I didn't know until today when I started laying everything out, I'm like, what the F are these Vale cards? Now I'm looking under the box and I'm like, where are they? What's going on here? I've already scheduled my review of this. So yes, thankfully I did have these other Vale cards that I can just use as stand-ins. So, the premise of Mystic Vale is that it is a fantasy-themed game. The theme's not real ironed onto it, right? It's not baked in, which is, not a knock on the game. So my OCD would go into panic mode if I were missing components as nefarious. I never get that worked up about stuff. I was just like, what the? I was like, Arr! It's like, well, I guess I'll just bust out one of the expansions that I've got. Because I used to get the expansions from AEG without having the core game. And I reached out to Mara and I asked Mara, I said, you guys keep sending me expansions for stuff I don't have a core game for. They did the same thing with the Space Base just recently. They sent me the little expansion. What is it? Shy Pluto? They sent me the expansion. I don't have the core game. So I'll just ask Mara for it. So anyway, because AEG's awesome. They're always working with me. So anyway, the premise is this is a fantasy game. It's supposed to be you're harnessing the power of nature. And there's a darkness in the land, and you're a druid. And you are part of various different clans of druids. That's thus the different backing you'll find on the various decks. There are 4 player decks here they're going to start off with. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to return the land to its former glory and protect the land. There's really no combat or anything like that going on, but the whole premise is that you're creating cards. This is a card crafting game. So if you are a fan of deck building games, you are definitely going to enjoy the card crafting aspect of this. So each of the players is going to start off with a 20 card starter deck. Now, unlike most deck building games, you're not going to be trying to cull your deck. You're not trying to get down to like 15 cards or 12 cards or something like that. You're always going to have 20 cards. You don't have a way for you to discard them, to burn them from your deck. So I'm going to show off some of the cards as well. Show off some of the different advancements you can add to the cards. And we're going to kind of take a peek at the Vale cards as well. So you're like an old man yelling, "Get off my lawn" in this game's theme. Sort of. You're an old druid. Hey, here's a side note. So I always thought druids were like, you remember like weird movies from like the 70s, like the weird kind of horror movies? Druids were supposed to be like really dark and creepy and bad, I thought like druids in history are supposed to be like really kind of bizarre, right? And then with Dungeons and Dragons, that all changed. The druids are suddenly like, oh, hey, I'm here to protect all of nature. When I remember stuff where, druids are supposed to like sacrifice humans and stuff like that. There we go. Nefarious pops right in with they historically did human sacrifices. Just as I'm saying that was popping up in chat. So yes, exactly. And then suddenly druids are all nice and kind and things like that. All right, so I'm going to zoom in. Don't worry, I'm going to zoom in on this stuff, but I'm just kind of giving you an idea of how things are laid out. So as I mentioned, each of the players are going to have a 20-card deck, and we are going to have the different advancements that we can use. We've got these in 3 different levels. We got level 1, level 2, level 3. As you purchase these various different advancements for the cards, you're going to actually slide them into your cards. That's why these cards have the sleeves on them. It's not necessarily just to protect the cards. It's because you're going to actually build these cards as you're playing the game. There are, with the level 1 cards, these are considered like common. So there are a bunch. Here's a few that I didn't actually use right here. Depending on the number of players, you're going to take so many of these first level cards as common cards, and you're going to lay out 3 of them, and then the rest are going to be laid to the side as a deck to draw from as people purchase these. Same with level 2, same with level 3. So of course, obviously enough, the level 1 are cheaper to purchase than level 2, level 3, and of course level 2, level 3 are much more powerful cards. So Nefarious Coel says, sounds like the vampire effect, in which the old vampire stories are all nasty and terrifying, and then they got the glittering treatment from novels in Hollywood. Yeah, I would say that's about right. I would say, yeah. Although druids, as far as I understand, the legend of druids and that goes way further back than vampires. Interestingly enough, you should look into what actually inspired Bram Stoker as he wrote Dracula. It's actually something that happened here in the U.S. So, anyway, so these are some of the cards that are part of the common pool. And depending on the number of players, you're going to take so many of these to create this level 1 deck. The level 2, level 3s, you're actually going to utilize all the cards. You're going to have them here. As with most deck building games, there is kind of a coverall. There's a card that you can purchase at any time. It is the Fertile Soil. So we've got a stack of these. We've got a deck of these. We got victory points. So, premise of the game is victory points. It's all about victory points. So you're going to have a pool of, let's say for an example, we're playing 2 players. We're going to have 23 victory points. Now, as you claim these victory points, you get closer and closer to the game ending. Once the final victory point is claimed, then the game is over and you're going to go to your scoring. Yeah, there you go. Nefarious is talking about Aztecs. Yeah, they were pretty good at their human sacrifice, weren't they? So then we got the Veils. So the Veils can give you special abilities. The Veils can also give you extra victory points. And as I pointed out, if you are suddenly tuning in late, these are not the Veil cards that actually do go with the core game for Mystic Vale. So we'll take a look at those in just a bit. So let's zoom in. Let's take a look at some of these cards. And let's start off with the core cards. Your starter deck. So you're going to have 20 cards. Some of them are going to be completely blank. But you're also going to start off with, for an example, we got Fertile Soil. And that provides us with a mana. Mana is the currency of the game. That's what you're going to use. It's one of the currencies. It's the main currency of the game. It's what you're going to use to buy other advancements for your cards. Sometimes you'll use it for the Veils, but very, very rarely. So as you can see, we've got a blank. We've got a Cursed Land. So Cursed Land has mana, but it also gives you decay. So as we see, we've got a bunch of these Cursed Lands in here. It's mostly in the starter deck, Cursed Lands. Or blank. There's another Fertile Soil, Cursed Land, Fertile Soil, Cursed Land, Cursed Land. Okay, so let me shuffle these up a little bit, and we'll kind of go through how this game actually plays out. Now, there's one aspect of this game I think is actually really cool, and it really helps cut down on the time involved in playing the game. So there's going to be a push your luck premise to this, and I will try to actually get this kind of lined up so we can squeeze these cards in. We should be pretty easy at doing this because we don't have a bunch of advancements or anything like that. So you're going to flip your first card. This is going to be you've got your planting phase. Now, in your first turn, you're not going to have what's officially a planting phase. So what you're going to do is you're going to flip cards over until you get to the point where you would have 3 decay. Once you have 3 decay, that's when you're going to stop. Now, you're always going to have this other card your top card on your deck is going to be flipped over. This is going to be considered to be, as amazingly enough, on deck. I'm kind of surprised they're using a baseball term, but it is on deck. So anyway, you're going to continue flipping your cards. Oh, hey, cool. We got a fertile soil. So far we've got 2 mana and 1 decay. And then we got nothing. And then we get a cursed land. We're going to flip one more over. There we go. Cursed land. So once you get to the point where you've revealed 3 decay, you're going to stop. Now, you're not going to get this card. You're not going to get to use this card. So what we're going to get is we're going to get everything that is on these cards that we've already laid out. So we don't have to worry about the decay anymore. The decay is basically the trigger to kind of end your planting phase and to push your luck. And I will get to that in just a sec. So remember, you're not going to get the on-deck card. You don't get to claim what's on the on-deck card. So we actually have 3 mana that we can spend. So we start looking at the various different cards, which are going to be over here. Now I've zoomed in, so we're going to take a look at some of these. So we've got a seedling. It's going to tell us what does it cost to purchase this. So this costs 2 mana. This also gives you a mana when this card is drawn. It also gives you the special bonus of cancel all but 1 decay on this card. And this would have to go into a bottom section of one of the cards. Because as you're crafting these cards, as you're building these cards, you have 3 locations you can place your advancements, your improvements. Top, middle, bottom. So we got the seedling. So we've got that. We also, and these are just randomly drawn to start off. We've got Enchant Chorus. This is 2. During your harvest, other advancements added to this card cost 2 mana less. So, harvest basically takes place in every one of your turns. Harvest is what we're doing right now when we're buying stuff to add to the card. Remember, we've got the 3 mana. We also have the Peacekeeper Druid. Now, when this card is brought into play, we're going to actually get one of these little symbols here, which these symbols are actually used to purchase the Vale cards. So as you can see, we got the forest symbol there. There's the forest symbol there. It's also like sky spirits. We've got animal spirits. I should say they're spirits. So this here, that's an animal spirit. If we see these little swirls here, those are considered wild. So those are wild spirits. So basically anything. So as far as our 3 mana, we could purchase any one of these 3 advancements that I've looked at, or we could spend 2 and get a fertile soil. Now the thing is, when you're buying fertile soil, you can buy it in any location. So if you wanted to buy it up top, you can buy one up top, you can buy it in the middle, or you can buy it on the bottom until these are out of stock, when there aren't any left. But this is something that's always available to you to purchase. So you can do that. But what we're probably going to look at here is we're going to take a look at the seedling as well as the enchant chorus. These are pretty good. I should point out that on the Peacekeeper Druid, it says once per turn, if you were to spoil, you may discard your on-deck card instead. You know what? Yeah, I think we'll do the seedling. Because we want to be able to start improving our amount of mana that we've got. Because we want to start adding bigger and better advancements. So, in our harvest right now, I would say, okay, I can take this seedling. Now I can add this seedling to say this card here. I would slide it in. And whenever I would draw this card, it would actually give me 2 mana and would actually cancel out this decay. So I might consider to do that. Or I might say, okay, well, you know what? This card has nothing here. So every time I draw it, I'm not going to get anything out of this. So you know what? Just for laughs, I'm going to put it in, and I'm going to create this card here. As the game goes on, you're going to kind of create these various different, almost like super cards too. Now, the point is, though, you may not get to use these all that often. A typical game, by the time you're able to afford like the big, cool advancements, you might get to use that card 2 or 3 times, but a lot of times it's actually worth it. So then that'd be your harvest phase. You've got your discard phase. So the cards that we just had out in our field, we are going to put in a discard pile. I'll have that off camera here. Then this is the part that I kind of like. This is like your prepping phase, where you're going to actually start going through, and you're going to go, okay, so these are. You're going to actually go through until you hit the 3. Until you hit the 3 decay. Bang, right there, right? All right, my turn's done. On to the next player. So you're actually doing this while the other player starts doing their planting phase. So that helps move the game along really nicely. So when it would come back around to my turn, I would now have the opportunity of, I either can take what I've got. So I could say, okay, I'm going to take those 3. I'm going to take the 3 mana because I already have the 3 decay sitting there. Or I can push my luck. I can push my luck and continue drawing cards until I get a 4th decay icon. Problem is, when I get to that 4th decay icon, that's it. My turn is blown. So, as Smokey comes to visit. Come here, Smokey. You silly kid. That's pretty good. Smokey has never actually jumped up on the table. Well, I'm in the middle of shooting a video. So there you go. Their little guest appearance, right, Smokey? Okay, come on, lay down. You can lay on my lap. You can lay on my lap. Come on, lay down. Or you can hop off. It's up to you. Do you want to hop off? Okay. I think she's kind of like, what the hell's going on? Kabuki Kid says, I'm still here, just quiet. We're watching a show. It's like, yeah, okay, I get it. Go on, Smoke. Go on, hop down. Go on, hop down. Yeah, she's all like, oh, what's going on? So she won't lay down. Okay, so anyway, so as I was saying, so you get to the point now you're starting your turn again, and you'd be like, okay, so I know I've got 3. Do I want to just take the 3 or do I want to push my luck? So as an example, let's just say, hey, I'm pushing my luck. Oh no, I got my 4th decay, and I don't have any like special advancements on these cards to eliminate anything. So I would get nothing out of this. I would be like, boom, zip. But I would get this token here. So I would actually get it upside down. Oh, actually, it wouldn't be the first player one. It'd be this one. So what this does is when you bust, basically, Rob's like, Smokey. When you bust, you're gonna get one of these. So what'll happen is on my next turn, I'll be able to flip this face up, and it's good for 1 mana. I can use this for 1 mana, flip it back over. You don't want to be busting a lot. It's okay to push your luck from time to time, especially when you start getting a bunch of stuff in your cards. So let's say that was that. So these cards would go into here. Next, gonna flip these over because this is my prep. Whoops. There you go. So here's my prep. And then the other player's already taken their turn doing their thing. When it comes back around to me, I've got the same exact thing as before. So it's like, okay, this time I'll use this. So that's going to give me one more. That's going to give me 4. I could get Druid Song, which shows here Druid Song costs 4. It's going to give me a wild spirit. And at the end of the game, this is worth 1 victory point. This is the victory point indicator here. So you may actually see cards that will show that you get victory points every time you play that card. So I'll kind of show you some of these other cards that we've got, some of the higher levels. Got the Mindful Owl, which would cost 6 to purchase. It's worth 1 victory point at the end. But it'll show, it says, when played, you may discard any other card in your field. So you could possibly play this and have something that's got, like a crappy card like this, a starter card. You could discard that and draw another card, as long as you're not going to go over your decay. Some of the higher priced ones here, these are level 3, so this would cost 9. Woodland Warren says harvest, gain 2 victory points for each guardian. That's what this little symbol is here. For each guardian on this card, not just the guardian here. So if you had other guardian advancements here, you'd be pulling off a bunch of victory points, thus speeding up the process of finishing up the game. And of course, at the end of the game, it's worth 2 victory points. So let's say, for an example, we got our 4 mana, and I decide, all right, I'm going to buy the Druid Song. Now I have to put it in one of these here. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to put it into this card. Slide it on in. Boom. There we go. That's the new card. And like most deck building games, whenever you like purchase a card, which is basically what you're kind of doing with the advancements, you're actually going to end up putting it into your discard pile. All right, Nefarious Coel's got a rock. Hey, good to have you popping by. Thank you very much. So anyway, so that's kind of an idea of how the game will play. Now, what I'm going to do here, kind of give you an example. I'll slide some of these in here. Let's see what we got. And I'll kind of show you how the turns will actually run later on in the game. After you've played through a few turns, you've been buying stuff, you've been creating these new cards. And of course, whenever you have a card, say for an example here, right? Like I wanted to buy this, but I can't add it to this card because once you have an area that's already got something in it, that's it. That card is set the way it's going to be. So as an example, if I were to have a card like so, I would have that, and this card is now full. I can't do anything with this card. But when I draw this card, it says when played, you may discard any other card in your field. I get a mana, I get a decay, and I also get a wild spirit. So as you're going along and you're purchasing these various different, I'm going to zoom back out a little bit. Whoops, that's zooming in, Jeff. So as you're purchasing the various different advancements, you're going to replace them. You're going to replace them here. So as you're going along, so you might get to the point where the only cards that are out here fit in a location that you've filled up on all your cards. Well, that's just the way it's going to be. So anyway, let's zoom back in. So let's just take a few of these that I kind of built out a little bit. So kind of give you an idea. And you want to try to make sure that you do like go from bottom, middle, and then top. So interestingly enough, you will see that this has an ability here, this has an ability here. Well, this ability is connected to this part here, so you have to choose which one are you going to want. Do you want the one off the middle? Or do you want that? So I decided, yeah, I'll take that one. Alright, so let's pretend it's back to my turn. We got all this stuff going on. I've purchased a few of these. Now, as I mentioned, they're going to have some markers on here that actually don't go with the core game, like this negative here, the negative victory point. So, anyway, let's say I got these. I've got these off to the side. These do not go into your deck. These never go in your deck. They just go in front of you. So we would say, okay, here we go. I'm doing my prep. Well, there's, okay, 1 decay. Still only 1 decay. There's 2 decay. When played, I may discard any other card from my field. Nope. Yeah, you know what? No. We won't. Alright, so there we go. So now we're at 3 decay. But look at all the good stuff we got cooking in this field now. We've got 1 victory point, 2 victory points, so that'd be 3 victory points right there that are coming out of the stack. Because remember, you only have so many victory points based on how many players are playing. We would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana to use. We also have advancements added to this card cost 2 mana less. So if we were trying to say, like, add this to the center, we could actually be like, okay, I could get that for 7 mana. Cool, I'm going to do that. 7 mana. It's going to be good for 2 victory points at the end of the game. I still have 1 mana left over. That doesn't do anything. That would actually have been flipped over. And these would get discarded. And once again, you'd be just going, okay, boom, 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 nothing. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm prepped. I'm ready for when my next turn comes around. So once all the victory points have been claimed, everybody's going to take 1 more turn. And then everybody's going to take their Vale cards that they've gotten, the Vale cards that they've purchased, and they're going to add up all the victory points and anything. Because some of these will actually have some special abilities too during different phases. So, like for an example, this one, during your harvest, you would gain a mana once you had purchased this and added this to your well, in front of you. So anyway, so for an example, let's say all right, so we'd have 4 victory points. Then we're looking at the little shields down here. So we'd have whatever victory points we've already claimed, add whatever victory points are from our Vale cards, and then we're going to go through. So let's say I had 12. So now we're 14, 15, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23. And that's how you do it. And then you would just add up your victory points. Whoever's got the most victory points is the victor. And if I remember correctly, I think whoever, if there's a tie, whoever has the most Vale cards is the tiebreaker. So, anyway, so that is, in essence, how you play Mystic Vale. So, what do I think of it? Personally, I'm glad I finally had an opportunity to actually play it. Because I had heard a lot of people talking about it, that they really liked it. And I gotta, I like deck builders to a certain extent. I like deck builders, like when I first played Dominion, because Elliot Miller, my best friend, Elliot over at voiceofe.com, he and his wife were just like, they just couldn't get enough of Dominion. And I thought, hey, this is interesting. I thought this is pretty cool. I mean, we're kind of looking at like the first deck building game, but it actually kind of left me cold, because when it first came out, I want to say the first expansion or two, you really didn't have much going on with the other players. You were just kind of doing your thing, building your deck, and then of course when the stacks got down to nothing at so many, then hey, Flaming Huron's popping in. Good to see you, Flaming Huron. So and that would trigger the end game. So I liked Dominion, but I didn't go crazy over it like a lot of people did. I just, because it's a game, like I said, I'm not big on games where you don't really have all that much impact on what other players do. That said, that's kind of how kind of how Mystic Vale is too. You're really not interacting, at least in the core game, you're really not interacting that much with your fellow players. That said, I do think it's cool. I like it. I like it more than I like Dominion. As far as just kind of putting things together, deciding, well, okay, so do I want to create this 3-piece super card, knowing that I'm not going to get that card out there all that often, or do I try to sprinkle in advancements in different parts of like blank cards or the starter cards that have one little thing on it? Do I try to eliminate some of the decay symbols that are on cards by putting in advancements that eliminate the decay? I like the whole process of trying to figure out what you want to do. And I also get a kick out of the fact that you've got different areas. There we go. Let's grab one that's all filled in. You got different areas on the card. And once you actually build the card, that's it. That's what you've got. So that's something that I kind of like. I like the fact that it's like, well, you can't just no, I want to replace this piece here. No, this is your card. This card is done. Once you've built this card, that is it. That card's going to stay that way. So I like that aspect of it as well. Games are tight. People don't tend to just completely run away with the game. I like the fact that you can push your luck and fail too many times. You're not going to be in the running for victory, but you can push your luck from time to time and, get skunked, and it doesn't kill you. It's not going to, you do it twice. Let's say in a game, you push your luck and you come up empty a couple of times. It's not going to completely ruin your game. You're not completely out. So, and of course, depending on other players, how often they're pushing their luck and how successful they are, is going to determine how often you want to do it too. So you may just go kind of, steady all the time, where it's like, hey, this is what I've got. When I got to my 3 decay symbols, this is what I'm playing. Or you can try to see if you can push it. So I do like that as well. Components are really nice. The sleeves are very nicely done. Nice and thick sleeves. Cardstock is cool as well. The little plastic cards like this, they actually have a plastic film on them that you can peel off. The cards will eventually get little nicks and scratches and stuff, but they're transparent. It's not that big a deal. Actually, it's easier to read them as well once you get that plastic off of the parts of the card. Although I gotta admit, it's not that easy to get the plastic film off. You may want to actually play the game a few times, because just sliding them in and out of the sleeves will actually loosen up that film that's on them. So at the end of the day, I actually give Mystic Vale a very, very solid 8.9 out of 10. Only real drawbacks I've got for it is some people will not like the fact that you're really not doing much to impact other players. And I gotta be honest, the theme, it's just tacked on. I mean, you don't feel like you're a druid, coming up with spells and doing things to save the Vale or anything like that. It's just a gimmick. It's a card crafting gimmick. But it is a good gimmick, so I definitely do like it. So let me clear up this stuff here real quick. Like I said, we're going to have a big show tonight because we are going to take a look at the Harmony expansion for Mystic Vale. See, I'm putting all this stuff away real quick. This is what happened. This is why I got burned over at Elliot's, right? I was putting all this stuff together, and that's how the Vale cards ended up not being in the box. So to make sure that I don't screw up, let me put these into the the correct game expansion, the Twilight Garden expansion. There we go. All right, get this stuff out of the way. All right, so as I mentioned, as a bonus, we are going to take a look at Mystic Vale Harmony, which is also from AEG, designed by John D. Clare with artwork provided by Victor Perez Corbella. The expansion doesn't change core particulars, so we're still looking at 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, playing around 45 minutes. And the Harmony expansion does carry an MSRP of $39.99. I have seen it online pre-order for about $29, just so you do know. As I pointed out, I am not sure if this is out in stores yet or not. I know it's out this month, so I am not positive if it's out or not. So let's take a quick peek at the back here. So Madman says, how about Nightfall and Thunderstone? I like the new Thunderstone. I think Thunderstone Quest is really nicely done. Unfortunately, I've got the well, I shouldn't say unfortunately. I should say I've got the Kickstarter edition. So the stuff that's coming out now is like expansions and that I already have. So when they have the first expansion come out, I've already got it. Nightfall, we used to play Nightfall quite a bit, liked it. And then it was Elliot was really big into that game. He really dug that game. I enjoyed it. I didn't like it as much as he did. So I like Mystic Vale much better than I did Nightfall. So just me personally. I can't say I like it more than Thunderstone Quest though. So, but it is good. So we've got Mystic Vale Harmony. Druids rally to defend the Valley of Life from the corrupting forces spawned by the dreaded curse. Only the combined might of the druidic clans can oppose them. Aided with enchanted amulets and clan leaders, Druids must defeat the rising threats to restore harmony and balance to Gaia's realm. So I believe the new addition to this are the amulets. So it says, Harmony adds new advancement and Vale cards to the base game, giving players more card crafting options and exciting new possibilities for combos. Amulets feature unique effects and greater variety over regular mana tokens. Leader cards grant abilities that can be upgraded to become even more powerful. Alright, so says, of course, this is an expansion only. Base game is needed for play. Alright, let's pop this on open here. Definitely like the artwork. I dig the artwork that's in the core game as well. Only issue there is it's pretty small. It's pretty small. So Madman says, I agree with you. Really liking Mystic Vale. Yeah, it's okay, so when I originally heard about it and everybody was talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. And then I heard that basically there's, you're not influencing the other players really outside of like just getting those victory points to kind of like kick into gear the end game. But so I thought, I wonder, because there's been other games that people just love, like Pandemic, and I am not a Pandemic fan. I don't hate it, just not a fan. So I thought, well, okay, we'll see what's going on here. I like it much more than I thought I would. I figured I would dig it, but I really dig it. I think it's really, really nicely done. My big ding is basically that it's not thematic at all. I mean, you're just building cards to. I mean, it's like a deck builder. It's like a regular deck builder, but just doesn't have much real theming to it. Hey, 8.9 is still a damn good score. All right, so this is the Harmony expansion. So we got a punch board with something already popped out. So these are the amulets. That looks kind of cool. Nice. So it's like evoke. I guess you flip it over and it tells you what you get to do. Cursed Mana Crystal. So I guess it's got positive and negatives. Yeah, looks like it. Spoils. Everything is on spoil here. Okay, so that's cool. So we got those. Let's take a look at the rules here. So it's going to talk about the eclipse symbol. Eclipse advancements feature an eclipse symbol represented by a card overlaying another card. Eclipse advancements work like regular advancements with the exception that they may be covered by another advancement. Huh, okay. Legendary advancements, leader cards. I think the leader cards, I think it's Twilight Garden? Isn't that the one that introduced the leaders to the game? I'm talking about amulets, using your amulets, using your leader. Card clarifications. That was one of the other things that I do like about Mystic Vale was they kind of give you a breakdown of the cards. Not every single card, but they kind of give you an idea of the different cards as opposed to, well, just look at the card, man. So we got new Vale cards. There are the leader cards. Some clarifications on those. Clarifications for the amulets. And we get some lore about the leaders as well. All right. Cool deal. And then we get a quick reference. Basically looks like this is a new setup. It's just giving you a reference of how to set this up. Okay, so we got a bunch of new advancements. Here's the other cards here. Let's zoom on in so we can get a better look at this stuff. There we go. That should be cool. So let's look at the advancements first. Let's cut this on open. When you're first starting to play Mystic Vale and you got the various different advancement cards, the way they break them down is you'll have the advancement card and you're going to have it where it's 3 spots. So we've got pollination. Pollination is the advancement. So we're going to have 3 of them. So we're going to have it available in a top, a middle, and a bottom. Sometimes these kind of stick together. So gotta be kind of careful. So we got pollinization. We've got leafling. Harvest. Gain 1 mana for each guardian on the card. Okay, that's cool. That's kind of... I like this little squirrel. Like I said, the artwork's cool. It's just the artwork's kind of small. All right, so we got a big bear, the Den Mother. Got Cauldron of Bones. Maybe sleeved over a cursed land. Oh, wow, that's kind of cool. So rather than a cursed land giving you 1 decay and 1 mana, you get 2 mana and 1 decay. So that's Cauldron of Bones. You have Gaia's Blessing. This also can be sleeved over a cursed land. I wonder if this is brand new. The putting stuff over like the cursed land. Because like I said, I did an unboxing for the Twilight Garden. I keep wanting to say Twilight Valley. The Twilight Garden expansion, and I don't recall seeing stuff that said you could sleeve it over other items. Okay, so we got Greenvale Descendants, Suncaster Ward, Stargazer Lynx. So these are just giving you spirits. Giving you the Forest Spirit there. Deepwood Steward. Place this card at the bottom of your deck instead of discarding it. Huh. Okay. So that comes up much more often. That's pretty wild. So this is the... well, what are they calling that? The eclipse symbol. That this can eclipse another ability or something. I don't know. I have to see that in use. Okay, so we got a Dragon Whelp. Like I said, I like the artwork. The artwork is really cool in this. Sunrise Chorus. The Green Man. The Green Mile? What? Got a Griffin. Oriole Avery. Cold Snap. Swap your on-deck card with any other card in your field. Okay. Got a Totem Spirits. Consecrated Bocage. Preserved Garden. Herd Caller. And of course, we can see that they're all different levels. So these are like the level 2s. Let's see some level 3s here. We got Tribal Horn. Sun Shard Elemental. Hall of Elders. Here we go. Now we're going to get into the big level 3s. Lingering Summer. Gain 1 victory point for every 2 cards in your field. Wow, that's pretty cool. Clan Council. You may spend 4 mana to remove any one other card in your field from the game. From the game? Wow, look at that. Now we're culling cards out. Aha. Something that you didn't do in the core game. Exalted Priestess. Writhing Bramble. Sacred Pledge. Oh, cool. Basilisk. Satyr Song. Lightcaster Wyvern. Gain 2 victory points for every guardian on the card. Sweet. Legend of the Elder Dragon. We've got Dragonades. Eggs, I should say. So here's the Elder Dragon taking up 2 spots. All other players reveal the bottom cards of their decks. Choose 1 card and place it at the bottom of your deck. Remove the other cards from the game. Wow. Okay. Got a Blight Ent. Shadowspawn Cavern. Banished Clan. Leyline Apex. Blightland Passageway. Gatewatch Defenders. Wow, that's some pretty cool stuff. Especially since some of these are now taking up 2 spots. So these are all the advancements. So these are new advancements you can bring into play into the game on top of the ones that are already out for the core game as well as in the expansions. All right, and then finally let's take a look at some of the Veil cards and some of the leaders. So here are the Veil cards. Sacred Scroll Copse, Serene Savannah, Bloodroot Wield, Prism Ridge, Mana Stream, Sanctified Arboretum, Aura Shield, Stargazer Peak, Jade Isles. So one thing that's kind of cool is because in the core game, there's kind of a duplicate of the different Veil cards. These are all unique. Mud Geyser, Salt Desert. Oh no. Okay. Spoke too soon. There's 2 Salt Deserts. Borderland Pasture. Sunken Leyline. Devouring Chasm. Hidden Valley Ranch Dressing. Watchstone. Floating Forest. Fairy Pond. Volatile Nexus. Elysium Stairway. Ascended Alcove. Harmony Highland. Dragon's Lair, Den of the Exile, Curseland Gatewatchers, Sleeping Ancient, Moonlight Blossom, Spectral Tree. Now we get into the leaders. We've got the Mind Weaver, the Untamed, the Cloud Dancer. I guess not. I was gonna say, do they go this way or Cloud Dancer, the Astrologer, the Frostcaster. Sad Grumple in his garden patch. Alright. Got some elves, and then we have the Bitter Roots. Cool, very nice. So, those are the leader cards. These are the Veil cards. We have our new advancement cards as well. Put all those together in here. You got the different amulets. So, for an example, this says, evoke this amulet with... I'm sorry. Exchange this amulet when you invoke it with any other player's amulet. Place both amulets on their use side. That player gains 1 victory point. So I'm curious if this is where it's like, okay, so you got the amulet, you use it, you flip it over to this side, then You take the effects of this the next turn, then you flip it back over, and it's back in, back to be able to use. I'm taking a guess it's probably how these work. All right, so we got the amulets, we got the new rule book, and that is what we find in the new expansion coming this month, or just arriving in stores already. The new expansion for Mystic Vale, Harmony, from John D. Clare. I gotta point out, John D. Clare, AEG might be renaming their company to John D. Clare Games, because he's like, there's 2 new games. And I was going to actually do a news piece on one of them, but I was like, well, we're not going to make this the Alderac Entertainment Group game show, right? There's 2 new games that are coming from John D. Clare. One of them is another card crafting game too, so pretty sweet, pretty cool. I will have actually news of that tomorrow, so because it looked kind of interesting. And of course, Edge of Darkness is coming. I think Edge of Darkness is going to arrive for Gen Con, and that, of course, is a card crafting game as well. All right, so that is it for tonight's show. As I mentioned on tomorrow's show, it's Wargame Wednesday, so we are going to unbox and take a first look at Combat Commander from GMT Games. This is the Combat Commander Europe, so excellent game. So be sure to tune in for that. All right, so as I like to point out, man, this was a big show, huh? Over an hour and a half. Woof. Anyway, as I like to point out, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. By now, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Everybody who was hanging out and chat with me tonight, thank you very much for keeping me company, keeping the chat flowing. It's like the spice must flow, right? And of course, those of you who are watching live who didn't chime in or are watching after the fact, obviously enough, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.